Linux, HyperVoice Linux. We now have HyperVoice up and running for Linux. That is now on the website, and you're welcome to go and download it and have a look. It's really pretty cool. So, what are we going to be working on today? We have HyperVoice. HyperVoice is at a pretty good state as it is. Waiting for feedback. If anybody does have any feedback, just let me know, please. But HyperVoice Linux, that's out. That's in beta at the moment. And if anybody has any feedback, drop them in the comments below, or just jump on Discord, or leave some feedback in the feedback tab in HyperVoice. Today, Claude Connect. This has been reworked slightly. So instead of just displaying what gets sent to and received from a Claude code terminal, this is actually going to be reading and writing directly to Claude code. So what I did, I think, show yesterday or the day before or something like that, yesterday, is a little bit of this, touched on this. So what I want to do is tell me about the website. So type into it. So using HyperVoice to type into Claude Connect, that gets sent off to Claude directly. Claude Code thinks, just hide tasks. Claude Code thinks and Claude Code does things. And that then gets displayed back in Claude Connect. I think I'm using, I wonder what model I'm using. I don't know. So I will find out in a little bit, I guess. Let me just open the Claude Connect folder in this as well. So essentially what I would like to do is use Claude Connect to build Claude Connect. So this was a website, I think it was just initially done to talk about pet sitting, and now what has been done is it's talking about, it's a music on. So what it does now is it was converted just to be a site about pet sitting. So all of this was built inside of Claude Connect. Run the website and give me a URL. So as you see, if I type into this and I send a message immediately, it immediately gets displayed on the left-hand side. And on the left-hand side, how do I set that volume? And on the left-hand side, it's the messages to and from Claude. The messages that I send to Claude. On the right-hand side, it's the feedback that comes back. So now we've got the main site. I also built a cube hop again. So if I click this, let's open this in Firefox. And there we go. So this is essentially running Claude code directly inside of Claude Connect. I want to change the colors and I want to make them more pastel anime characters. Colors, actually. Okay, so this goes off to Claude. Claude does, and it thinks, and then it does. And what you'll see at the bottom is in the timeline at the bottom, this is 5 minutes prior to the last message received from Claude. So 5 minutes, and it shows you certain things. So what this does is it shows you the errors. It shows you the file writes, read and writes. I think I've got that enabled. Filters. File writes are on. So those are the differences between the diffs between the files. So when it writes out files, it deletes lines and it adds lines back in. We've got plans, we have sessions, I think it is, subagents, and then we've got redactions. So what I've done with Claude Connect is I've actually redacted information coming back to us, and this now gets hidden inside of the interface. So if you ever are streaming, at least all of that information is redacted. So there is an error. Before I touch any colors, let me nail down the scope. The folder has two very different pages. I only want to deal with the pet sitting page. Thanks. Yeah, the joys of having an accent, I guess. and a microphone that can't really get too close to you. Okay, so while that's going off, I believe that Opus 4.8 released today. And what I want to do is just have a look at that. So what is Opus 4.8 and how is it different to 4.7? The improvements across benchmarks, it's a more effective collaborator and is available today for the same price. Launches alongside several new features. Users on Claude AI now have control over the amount of effort Claude puts into a task. We had that before. Claude Code has new dynamic workflows, which is new, that allows it to tackle very large-scale problems, and fast mode for 4.8, where the model can work 2.5 times the speed. Interesting. Now 3 times cheaper than it was for previous models. Opus 4.8 capabilities. I wonder how Opus 4.8 fast mode compares to Sonnet 4.7 in terms of usage, especially for those on the cheaper plans, like Claude Pro, which one's now better to use. Okay. Capabilities. Table below shows how Opus 4.8 compares to its predecessor and to other models on tests of coding, agentic skills, reasoning, and practical knowledge. Work tasks. More details and a much wider range of capability evaluations are provided in the Opus 4.8 system card. We'll have a look at that afterwards. Okay, Opus 4.7 coding. 64 up to 69, that is a pretty big jump. Agentic terminal coding, terminal bench 2.1, that's a very large jump, but still less than GPT 5.5. Interesting that. All right, multidisciplinary reasoning. What do we have here? This is significantly better than any of the other models. Agentic computer use. Okay, that's marginally better than 4.7. Knowledge work, a little bit better. And agentic financial analysis, marginally better, but probably significantly better at the same time than Opus and 4.7 and GPT 5.5. Collaborating with those. More reliable and sharper in its judgment when it's performing agentic tasks. Below quotes from many of those testers about their experience collaborating with Opus 4.8. From Shopify, noticeably better judgment in Claude Code, which is what we use. It asks the right questions, catches its own mistakes, pushes back when a plan isn't sound. So now, do we really need superpowers? And builds up confidence around complex multi-service explorations before making big changes. It's a great model to build with. It looks as though this is catching up to where superpowers is. What stage does superpowers really become irrelevant? That's what I wonder. Okay, Keizu, co-founder and CTO. On our super agent benchmark, Claude Opus 4.8 is the only model to complete every case end-to-end, beating prior Opus models in GPT-5 at parity on cost. For agents producing products in translation, deep research, slide building, and analysis, it delivers powerful reliability. Okay, some more. Cursor. On Cursor Bench, Claude Opus 4.8 exceeds prior Opus models across every effort level. Tool calling is meaningfully more efficient, using fewer steps for the same intelligence and carries end-to-end tasks through. Now, I haven't really had a problem with Opus 4.7 in carrying tasks all the way through. I set specific rules and I set specific end goal requirements, and I say do not stop developing, testing, iterating, improving, and whatever else until all of the things are done end to end and the product is completed. it doesn't always work all the time. It does tend to leave things out, and maybe that's where the differentiator comes in. It's been great in getting things done without needing my input, but it didn't do everything. Harvey. Okay, scores. Okay, Opus 4.8 feels like a major quality of life update over Opus 4.7. Faster, easier to collaborate with, and better at carrying context and styles across a long session. That's pretty nice. Now, I don't really shut down sessions very often, unless it's really a big piece of new work. A lot of the times in the older models, I've had issues with Claude becoming dumber and dumber over time as context fills up. However, in 4.7, it hasn't been bad. Most of my sessions have been built in one go, or most of my things that I've done have been built in one go without clearing the context. And I haven't had many problems with them. I have had a few problems with Claude Connect, especially with the scrolling and highlighting different things. So, for example, if I've got my messages, then I've got Claude Code's responses to my messages. And I do notice that sometimes when I scroll down Claude's, it didn't highlight my message properly. That is working now, but there's still a few other issues as well. I just really want to set boundaries on when it actually splits up or moves up to the next message from me. But most of my stuff, I just wait for it to compact and it pretty much remembers what it's done. And it's been good for me. Okay. Opus 4.8 is a model I keep trusting for work where voice, taste, and technical execution all have to happen side by side. Okay. One of the most prominent improvements is its honesty. We train all our models to be honest, for instance, to avoid making claims they can't support. But a general problem with AI models is that they sometimes jump to conclusions. I've been doing quite a bit of work recently where it's assumed a few things and it hasn't done the necessary research into the solutions that it's given. And I have to then go for and say, use the word plan and use certain keywords to actually get it to go back to the project, reinvestigate, and then create a solid solution for the issue at hand. And that's actually been working well. However, it didn't do it first take. Okay, early testers report that 4.8 is more likely to flag uncertainties about its work and less likely to make unsupported claims. This is borne out of our evaluations, which show that Opus 4.8 is around 4 times less likely than its predecessor to allow flaws in code it has written to pass unremarked. That's very good. As always, we ran a detailed alignment assessment on the model before release. So you tested it, that's good. The assessment also showed Opus 4.8 to have rates of misaligned behavior, such as so Spotify gets adverts. Ad-free. Okay. Such as deception or cooperation with misuse that are substantially lower than Opus 4.7 and similar to our best aligned model called Mythos Preview. The full alignment assessment, accompanied by a suite of pre-deployment safety tests, is reported in the Claude Opus 4.8 system card. Okay, so Opus is a lot closer to Mythos than Opus 4.7. Also launching today, dynamic workflows. What is this about? This new feature, available in Research Preview, allows Claude to take on even bigger tasks in Claude Code. Claude can plan the work and then run hundreds of parallel sub-agents in a single session. Yeah, that's going to cost a few tokens for that. And with Opus 4.8, the agents can run for even longer, even more tokens. It then verifies its output before reporting back to the user. For example, Claude Code with Opus 4.8 can now carry out code-based scale migrations across hundreds of thousands of lines of code from kickoff to merge with the existing test suite as its bar. You can read more about dynamic workflows available in Claude Code for Enterprise, Team, and Max plans in this post. I do want to read that. So I've just done a migration of something using Opus 4.7 over the last few days, and it's actually done very well. Have I had any problems with it? No, I've had a few things that I've wanted to improve upon what it did, but generally things worked and things worked well. Did I use clear command? No, I didn't. But it's nice that this will just be better than the experience I had. I didn't have a bad experience at all. In fact, it was great. What will I notice in the difference of this? Maybe it would have done more better, and I wouldn't have to guide it along those last few things that I had to do. Some of the things I really wanted were out of spec, so converting an old code base to a new code base and modern technology. But essentially I wanted it to have more dashboard items, or to have a dashboard. And what I did say was just create a dashboard for me, and then reporting. I wanted more reports, and I wanted a dashboard. Because those weren't there in the migration, it had to assume what to put in there. And then I told it to go and do deep research about this product and about the space in which it runs. It went off and did that and come back and suggested do this and this and that for the dashboard and have these additional reports. So dynamic workflows, I'm keen to see what it's going to do, but yeah, let's see how I can make it work for us. Effort control in Claude AI and CoWork. A new control alongside the model selector lets users choose how much effort Claude puts into a response. Control. On high effort settings, I mean, you could put in /effort, I think, before. Yeah, you could do /effort before. On higher effort settings, Claude will think more frequently and more deeply to give better responses. On low effort settings, Claude will respond faster and use up the user's rate limits more slowly. Users now have this choice. The effort control is available on all plans. So again, now with Claude Pro subscription, you tend to run out of tokens very quickly when you develop applications and you make use of Claude Code. So by using Sonnet 4.7, that was a solution where it actually lasts a little bit longer. But how does Sonnet 4.7 compare against Opus 4.8 slow mode, was it called? Or the normal mode, but just on a lower effort? I'm curious to know how those two compare in the code that it outputs. The Messages API now accepts set systems entries inside the messages array. Developers can update Claude's instructions mid-task without breaking the prompt cache, or route the updating through a user turn, the update through a user turn. This can be used in a given harness to update permissions, token budgets, or environment context as an agent runs. Okay, note and effort. Opus 4.8 defaults to high effort, which we judge to be the best overall balance of quality and user experience. On coding tasks, this effort spends a similar number of tokens as Opus's 4.7's default, but with better performance. So does that mean a 4.8 high effort will be far more token efficient than 4.7's default? Or is it 4.7's high effort? Because I have been running 4.7 high. When using multiple agents, I've run out of token usage, and I had to finish earlier in my 5-hour window. Can't afford the 20 times usage, so sticking to the 5 times usage. What I do find though with 5 times usage is that if I do not use multiple agents in excess, so inside of Claude Code, if I say use multiple agents or use agent teams, it tends to spawn off multiple agents far more quickly than it would if you don't say that phrase. So it essentially runs single-threaded, hardly ever run out of tokens. As soon as you use agent teams, it decides to split off all of the work. And that's when I start running out of tokens more quickly. In Claude Code or Max, when the model will spend more tokens to get better results, we recommend using extra for difficult tasks and long-running asynchronous workflows. We have increased rate limits in Claude Code to accommodate the higher token usage of higher effort levels. Users can select whichever makes sense for their particular project. What's next? 4.8 is some modest but tangible improvements on its predecessor. There's still more to be done. We're working on developing and releasing models that provide many of the same capabilities as Opus at a lower cost. Not only that, but we plan to release a new class of model with even higher intelligence than Opus. As part of Project Glasswing, a small number of organizations are currently using Claude Mythos Preview for cybersecurity work. So Claude Mythos is apparently incredibly good at hacking. So it can quite easily have a look at Linux code, find an issue in the kernel, and find other issues and chain them all together to gain root access to things, or to gain root access. And that's why what Claude or Anthropic have actually done is they've released it out to a small few to actually get their issues fixed before making it public. I don't know whether they're going to dumb it down when it goes public, but that's why Mythos is actually taking so long to actually get released. We're making swift progress on developing these safeguards and expect to be able to bring Mythos class models to all of our customers in the coming weeks. Project Glasswing, what is that? All right, next one. Introducing dynamic workflows in Claude Code. I did want to have a look at the pastel colors. Make it light mode with pastel colors. Okay, introducing dynamic workflows in Claude Code. Okay, we're helping Claude take on the most challenging tasks end to end. Where it could normally plan in quarters now finishes in days. Claude dynamically writes orchestration scripts that run tens to hundreds of parallel agents in a single session, checking its worth before anything reaches you. Some problems are too big for one pass by a single agent, especially I just have could not. Just, I've got a couple of testers running Linux, and one of them has just had to do a workaround to get something running. So I'm just trying to figure out what an issue is for them. Screenshots. A user had this issue on Linux. I want you to investigate, use 5 agents, figure out what the problem is, and offer suggestions. This, I believe, was what they experienced when installing the application. They did manage to find a workaround to get it installed.
If you're someone interested in self-improvement,
Okay.
and growth,
Oh,
I
adverts.
have exactly what you need.
Hmm. Some problems too big. Plan you want to stress test it from every angle before you commit to it. Dynamic workflows can handle all of these end to end. I think I can just, yeah. Dynamic workflows are available today in research preview. So React to Solid migration. Non-destructive React to Solid JS. Port of Xcali draw into Solid migration across 6 phases. Infrastructure, inventory, pattern analysis, infrastructure, migrate core, migrate app, verify and report. Okay, workflows. I'm not going to carry on with this. I'm actually going to do some research after hours, but this actually looks really quite interesting. And why are you not working? I want you to run and test the website yourself. Make sure you can sign in, log in, and then the application also runs and works. This is another thing that we're going to be working on. At the moment, what I've got I've got this running in a Claude Code terminal. I don't have it in here. I do have it connected as connects, but I'm still running it in Claude Code for now. Let's just get these closed. Okay, so light mode with pastel colors. Okay, so this entire site. I now want to add a bookings module to it where it shows a calendar. I want users to be able to select a date on that calendar. I also want you to mark some of those calendar days as booked. I want to be able to go forwards in the months, and obviously you can't book for today or prior to today. And they must be able to select multiple days. Okay, so let's get that sent through. So what we do see here now is I've sent a message through to Claude Connect test. That's for this little pet sitting site. You can see it's thinking at the bottom, and now what it's going to do is it's going to think and then come back to me. So there are things I want to do inside of Claude Connect. Is it possible for the polls up in the nav bar, so for example, the token usage and also the reset time, to have a little progress bar at the bottom of the pill? Can that be done? Claude Connect. Just helping support one of our Linux testers. He's managed to get it installed. There was a bit of an issue. It's running on Kubuntu 26.04 LTS, Resolute Raccoon, and he had to do a workaround to actually get it up and running. Okay, but then he did encounter another issue, but I don't know if okay, so there seems to be an issue with Linux. Okay, so where are we? Is it possible to do this? So Claude Connect, once again, we've got settings. We filter out a great deal of the categories in messages that come back from Claude Code. So all I'm seeing is I'm seeing the dots as tool calls. I can also turn that into a pill like this. So to the search result, search, result, or you can actually have it hidden completely and not see anything. For now, I'm just playing around with dots. And then what I am doing is I'm showing the file rights. So I get to see the differences, file diffs. And that shows in the bottom timeline. So I can actually have a look at what was written away when, what the changes were. So is it possible to have these pills here? So at the top here, we've used 37K of a million context usage. And here we've got 5 hours, resets in 1 hour, 51 minutes of a 5-hour window. I want just something a little bit more visual up there. So can we essentially have a progress bar or something like that in those pills? Yes. And I have looked at exactly how these pills. This is going to be difficult. I can't do this in here. So I can't really develop Claude Connect inside of Claude Connect. The reason being is that Claude Connect needs to restart itself to actually implement and show me what it's doing. So I'm actually going to have to do this outside of it. Okay, let's get that implemented. I want you to get it implemented and then let me know when done. Okay. And because we'll be starting all the time, doing things inside of Claude Connect is actually going to be a little bit difficult. So the workaround, I added a small wrapper script at that. Instead of launching the app image directly, the desktop launcher now runs this wrapper. Okay, why this was needed, launching the app image directly failed with that. The workaround does two things. After applying those environment variables, HyperVoice started successfully, created a tray icon, registered the global hotkeys, showed the pull window, and proceeding through the onboarding. Before I read what you've written, this is the report from the user who runs it on Linux. I will also give you the details in his operating system so you can combine the two and have a look at the two. Let me know or give me an update in terms of the feedback that you've got for me relating to this effort or this issue. First user had an issue with getting it installed. Once he got his workaround done, it's working. This is awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. First user on Linux. Happy, happy days. This is a test recording to see the response time, 4 seconds. 114 milliseconds response time. So first response or first transcription done on Linux was, hello, this is a test recording to see the response time, transcribed in 114 milliseconds using base English. Just share the screenshot with me. This is brilliant. What you can do is try the different models as you go upwards. I'm actually running large V3 Turbo, and the response times are great, and also the pickup in terms of transcription is very good as well. But I don't know how that's going to work on all hardware. So 114, next transcription, 111 milliseconds. So that is awesome, baby. Okay, working on Linux. This is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, where are we? Okay, so yeah, getting back to Claude Connect, I won't be able to actually make use of Claude Connect. Next. Okay, so I won't actually be able to make use of Claude Connect because if I am using it and it restarts, I'm going to lose what was in that session. That is something I do need to work on. So let me start it up in PowerShell. Claude Connect. I guess I can actually bring this up here. Okay, so now we've got a progress bar reset since so long. We have just implemented progress bars in the pills up in the nav bar. I want you to let me know what progress bars have been set up so far. Okay, so the reason I'm asking it again in terminal is I'm trying to get it to catch up to speed with what was done inside of Claude Connect. So we're going to have to work on something else while we actually get this up and running. But if I introduce what else I've done, so I've started working on something called Connect. And essentially one of the issues that we have in the corporate space is data and the movement of data from point A to point B. So this is essentially a product, once you sign in, that allows you to create flows. Okay. Shopify, I had a test flow, import Excel, CSV, I think it was this one. Open workflow. I think it was this one. So start, open up. So how this works is you've got a start node. It starts up. This flow starts. It then enumerates through a folder and picks up all of the files in there. It then reads the files. It opens the file. It reads it, and then it puts it into CSV, comment delimited. It then transforms that file into a different format here. So I'm essentially just doing a one-to-one mapping. It transforms that file. You can map it however you want to. And then what it does is it writes it out as Excel. It writes the Excel file out. Okay. So that's essentially what it's supposed to be doing. Just move this in a little bit. Okay, so if we do run this, it compiles the application. Output fails. Could not start run. I have an error when trying to run this where it says it failed. I want you to run it, test it, investigate why, and let me know. Okay. So while this already has a light mode and dark mode, sorry for those who were watching late at night. And then here you can just take any node and just add it on as well. So Stripe payment, if you want a Stripe payment to go up, you can actually get this. So what you can do is start it, pick up files, convert them into flat files, transform it into a format that Stripe likes, and then you can actually just start, remove that, connect that up to Stripe, and then issuing payments. So you can do it for payment runs, for example. Let's see what this is. Scroll bar. Okay, let me investigate. First, I'll find that. Search for that. URL doesn't match anything in Claude Connect. That's because we're in the wrong thing. We're not doing Claude Connect. Actually doing this. Change tab, color, rename, connect. Paste that in. Okay, so it seems as though Afrikaans is not being picked up nicely. Just going to try it again. And the auto paste does not seem to be working. Just going to have a look at the feedback that Claude Code's giving me with regards to the to this Linux issue. It's genuinely useful. The user's exact error text confirms and sharpens everything the agents found. It pins down the root cause more precisely than we could from the first screenshot. Here's my read combining the two. The new detail tells us exactly why it broke. The key line is that. Is a recent glib symbol added in glib 2.84. Kubuntu 26.04 is bleeding edge and ships a new glib that has it. The app image, however, was built on an older base and bundles for an older libglib that lacks that symbol. The failure direction matters, and it's the opposite of what my GIO agent assumed. It's a host GVFS module being pulled into the process. That host module needs this, but the symbol resolves. Let me just check. Yeah, it looks okay. Okay, that host module needs that for the symbol, but resolves against the bundled older libglib, which doesn't have it. So it's a classic app image glib version skew. Okay, that could not create. Yep, verdict on the effort. My diagnosis was correct on all three issues. I'm running Opus 4.8. Good. And the user's report upgrades the GIO from one AVI mismatch, probably, to a named symbol. Okay. What I changed versus the user's manual wrapper. The wrapper fixes it for that one user on that one machine, but it lives in here, and our repo doesn't ship it. So every other Kubuntu-style user hits the same wall, and an auto-update won't touch it. The hand-rolled launcher won't touch the hand-rolled launcher. The fix needs to ship inside the build itself, 2 layers. Primary. Bake both environment variables into the library, Linux gated as the first thing it run. There's one caveat with this, two reassurances. Sabling that is safe here. Net. Investigation holds up well. Recommendation step. Okay, recommended next step. I implement the 2 in-binary changes, the environment variables plus this. We'll build the Linux beta and ask the same tester to launch it without their wrapper to confirm it works end to end. Per the no blind publish rule, I'll hold the release until they verify. Want me to go ahead and make the changes? Yes, I want you to go ahead and make the changes and then publish the Linux version of the application so the user can download it from the website. Okay. The user has also let me know that auto paste does not seem to be working. Can you find any information about that? Okay, I'm busy fixing the issue that you had during installation. There are 2 issues associated with that, and still busy investigating the hotkey issue. I'll let you know when the new version is up on the website, so it should get around having to run that script. Let you know when. Okay, just send. Now gate the windows only on Xblock, so it stops. Okay. So, connects. What's happening with connects? Okay. I'll investigate this. Since this is a bug failure investigation, let me use the systematic debugging skill. What model? 4.8. Okay. Skill phase. This is where I almost miss the older version of Claude Connect, where I could still run things through the terminal and still see this output the way I've got it in Claude Connect. Whereas Claude Connect at the moment actually runs or hooks into Claude Code directly, where it didn't before that. It was just a view-only thing. Phase 1, root cause investigation. First, I need to understand the run architecture and replace the actual failure. Ingest is not running. Oh, ingest is not running. That's Docker. Trace. It's because Docker is not running. My hypothesis with no ingest worker. I believe that Docker needs to be running for this. Can you confirm? Found a genuine failure. The failure died around node 3. This is exactly the path I traced statistically or statically. Critical question, does the normal run path send the default? Root cause confirmed, control enter. It needs Docker to be up and running. Move this over a little bit. So yeah, connect. As you know, I can drag modules on here, send things through, text inputs and outputs. Inside of here, you can zoom in to all of this. You can zoom out, you can center it, you can auto arrange, and then zoom out and zoom in as well. Workflow, can hide that to the side. Yes, I can confirm that. Let me address it fully while my repro runs. Docker is required. Run everything, Docker desktop running. I started Docker earlier, so it's up now. Okay, so if we run this, we should be compiling and running, but there's no output. Why is there no output? There we go, output. So now what happens is I can actually double click on one of these nodes and it highlights it in the interface, which is very cool. So if you've got really big flows with hundreds of nodes in them, they actually start disappearing and you can't find which one belongs to what. I run this. I do want to open this. I created the test. No, that's working. This is working now. Okay. I want you to create the CSV file in this folder, and then I want you to configure that workflow to pick up the file from this folder, process it, and when it writes the file at the end of the flow, writes the Excel file away, it should save it to the same folder. Workflow. That is a new keyword. Claude Code Workflow. What does it do? Oh, workflows. Yeah. Have I just triggered workflows then? Unlike traditional AI, bonus execution. I'll need to have a look at that. So what still needs to be done in terms of Claude Connect? I think a lot of it is really just testing for now. There are things I need to do with this Claude Connect. Let's bring this back into the mix. Actually, let's take that down there. Dump it back there. We'll add a new down there. Okay, so at the top we've got connects. At the bottom we've got Claude Connect. Tell me about the project Claude Connect. This is not going to work this way. I need another tab. Not enough vertical space for this right now. Move it in there. With Claude Connect, I sometimes get asked by Claude Code to respond to certain things. So it asks me questions, sometimes multiple choice, and it waits for the answers. How can we intercept those questions and display them inside of Claude Connect's user interface? Okay, like this. So exactly this. So this is what Claude Connect doesn't yet support. It's these questions and answers. Okay, CSV is in place there. Now the sandbox decision, to let the workflow read and write from that, I need to widen the sandbox boundary. There are a few ways. With different trade-offs, this touches the security boundary, and per your notes, a full revolver refactor is planned alongside Droppoint. So I want your call rather than silently changing it. Windows Junction Black Sandbox. Chat about this. We're going to need a certain node that gets installed on each computer that the website can interface with, and then that node will have access to the details on the machine and can run commands on that machine. So for example, I would be able to run the folder node from that machine, which means that I can connect to the D test directory and on that machine, and it will pick up any files in that folder. I can then also have multiple nodes on different machines, and depending on which node I connect to, would return files on that specific folder. Does that make sense as how I would like it to work? Okay, Claude Connect. This is a feature design question for Claude Connect. Yes, exactly the kind of things I should approach with brainstorming skill before jumping into a solution. Let's invoke it. Superpowers. See, now, is Superpowers going to be better than Opus 4.8? I don't know. Let me explore the project context first. I want to understand how transcripts are tailed and whether Claude Connect can currently write back to and control a Claude Code session at all. Are we doing it at the moment? There's already a send prompt bar, start session modal, and progress mentions there. bash that. This is very informative. Claude Connect already spawns persistent Claude sessions and writes user frames to the stdin by stream JSON. Let me confirm the two things before I ask you. I've got the grounding I need. Here's the key architectural reality I found, which shapes everything. Claude Connect already has half the machinery to answer questions, but only for sessions it launches itself. It's what we're dealing with. Sessions start from inside. Sessions started from inside Claude Connect, run as persistent Claude children who's blah, blah, blah. When Claude Code asks you a question and waits, the sessions that it's which session is that happening and started in Claude Connect? Those are the only ones I care about. Okay, HyperVoice. Okay, auto paste issue now. Let me make two changes. First, the Linux environment variable at the top. Now gate the Windows only block. Both code changes are in. Now let me investigate the auto paste issue. Searching the paste implementation for Linux handling. Linux paste path exists, but I see the likely problem in the code's own comments. Let me check how the target window is captured and whether there's any Wayland session direction. We can get to content. Okay. Okay, so you can get the contents by running that command, output there, but does it allow the auto paste? I don't know. Claude Connect. Got it. Session started in Claude Connect, which is the good case. Claude Connect owns std standard in. Answering from the UI is achievable. Your experience also empirically confirms that these headless sessions do surface ask user question and wait, which resolves around real uncertainty. Which kind of Claude is waiting on me moments should Claude Connect let you handle from the UI? Everything. Everything. Select. Submit answers. Yeah. Everything connects. Okay, so yes, that makes complete sense and it's a well-established pattern. So we're talking about, do we need to install something on my own machine so that this, when running on the web, can interact with my machine and the things on my machine? So I can run file commands, it can run PowerShell scripts and anything else as well. That makes perfect sense, and it's a well-established pattern. What you're describing is an on-prem agent. Okay, you've been calling it Droppoint, a small service installed on each machine that registers with the Connect's website, then becomes the execution location for nodes that need local access. That's exactly it. Yeah, of course, these Droppoints too. So this also lines up with your hard parity requirement. Let me play it back to make sure I've got it exactly. A machine agent. The agent is in the hands. Nodes execute on selected agent. Yep. A couple of things worth flagging. Since this is a real build, we previously paused this on the agent's transport choice. Other websites and agent talk. To steer the next steps, which of these is this conversation? A. Get tests working now for the demo. Actively start designing. I want you to actively design and build the Connect's on-prem agent. Call it that. And I want you to then run that application and then test this end to end without my input. Can you get that done? Okay, so I wanted to build the on-prem agent. I wanted to then come to Connect. I wanted to run this flow, configure it so that it references that file in my D drive, and then get it working. Let's see how it does. Okay, HyperVoice on Linux. That might be a command your app invokes, and it's only using that in order to paste the comment. Build path. How should we handle the Linux build? Given I can't build it on this Windows host. I commit to push changes now. Give it the exact build. No. You built it before on the virtual machine. You should have saved the virtual machine connection details to memory so that you can build going forwards. It's running on Hyper-V. Release gating. Push immediately after the VM build or verify it first. Nope, let's for Linux publish it as soon as possible. Paste. The user running Linux also mentioned that this command helps with getting or pasting the contents. Does this help you with the auto paste problem? Double tap escape to rewind the code conversation to previous point in time. Cloud connects. Okay, Claude connects. Latency test. This is taking a while. 10 seconds. Do I have any dropped frames? 0. What is my network speed doing? That Wi-Fi seems to be fine, I think. Okay, anyway. Let me explore the project context first. I want to understand how transcripts are tailored and whether Claude Connect can currently write back to control Claude's. I really don't care about that. Can you do it? Noted everything, including permission prompts. That's one of the heaviest since it means changing the dangerously skip permissions. Launch problem. I'll treat it on its own in the design. No, I want to leave the dangerously skip permissions in there for now. So let's ignore the permissions prompts for now and focus on all the others.
They don't teach you this at school.
Okay. Yeah, but I'll give you more info in a bit. My agent slaves are working. So my useful breadcrumb, my known hosts has that Hyper-V. Oh, this was with regards to the publish. HyperVoice is that, so the terminal, that's almost certainly the build VM I've been SSHing to before, but 2 gaps, can't manage Hyper-V from this non-elevated session. You did it before. Get VM permission is denied. I can't start the VM myself, and I never saved the SSH username. Let me probe whether the VM username equals Chris. How do you want me to pass you the password? Okay, so HyperVoice for the Linux recompile. I restarted the session and it didn't save the information on connecting to my Linux virtual machine in memory. So what it is battling with now is connecting to it to try and do a rebuild. I understand the full picture. The build requires signing key at that. Let me grab it. Quick answer on the password. I don't need any password. Key auth already works because we authorized. After you manage to connect successfully to the Linux virtual machine, I want you to save it to memory, the details to memory, and also the build process to memory, so that you don't need to wonder how to rebuild on Linux. All right. How are we doing on Connect? Still busy with things. Okay, yes, I can get this done. This is exactly the drop point on-prem model we discussed. Design decisions, recorded so they're explicit, transport, see what works. If the Excel lands in D test, outside the server sandbox, it must have gone through the agent. The server alone would have thrown path escape sandbox. Okay, so you're busy chugging away. That's good. Full connect. Perfect. Keeping that. The scope is 3 model-driven cases. Ask user question, multiple choice, exit plan mode, plan approval, and free-form text questions. Where should the pending question appear to be answered? Inline card, tab badge recommended. Docked bar above prompt model. There we go. For that. Okay, so here we're working on Claude Code asking questions. I just wanted to do some research. I want you to do some deep research into the Claude Connect product. I want you to have a look at every single type of message that Claude Code accepts and Claude Code returns to the user. And then I want you to compare that to the types of messages that are handled within the Claude Connect application. I want you to create a matrix for what Claude Code does and what Claude Connect does. I want to do a gap analysis on what is not yet supported inside of Claude Connect. Let's have a look at that. That transcription is really quite quick. Here is that there, record, 800 milliseconds exactly. So there's the pill at the bottom left. You can see it down there. I researched this thoroughly. Let me start by grounding myself in the existing projects. Great. You're still working. Okay. Inline card and tab badge it is. Now I have enough to design this. Let me lay it out. Approaches where direct detection lives. Backend, post design. Let's go with your recommendations. Right. Here it is a complete picture of the ingest pipeline rendering. Okay, so we're seeing what it can do. Run successful. C drive now has an Excel document. Let's open it. Text is all in black. How do I set this to light mode? So there it all is there. Properties. Send digital signatures. How do I set LibreOffice to light mode? Tools, options, LibreOffice, appearance. Tools, options, appearance, light, apply. Let's do that for now. You want to restart it? Or closing? No. Nope. No. So this looks as though it works. Now let me send proof that. Now let me prove to the other half of your vision, different agent, different machines folder. I'll stand up a second agent pointed at a different folder and show it returns that folder's files. Okay, so it is testing multiple on-prem agents. How do you set an agent? Agent was set at the start node. Configuration. Workflow. Draft. Okay, my manual curl. The routing works exactly as you described. We run lint to make sure the new code is clean and tidy up the demo scaffolding. End-to-end test. It's worked. Okay, great news. Connects. Approved. I'll write the spec now. Not a Git repo, so I'll write the spec, but can ship the commit. I'll flag that, writing it now. I ran a self-review, no placeholders, internally consistent, single plan scope, no ambiguous requirements. Please review the spec. I want to actually have a look at tokens. I can set up in here as well. Resets in 1 hour, 9 minutes, and I'm actually quite far along with that already. Settings, usage. No, 31%. The current session, that is old, it doesn't update. Okay, spec written, if you're happy. Yes, go ahead, and I want you to use workflow. Workflow. Don't know if workflow works with superpowers. Not yet. Anyway. Code connect research. Or connect research. That one was magenta. We'll do this a darker one. The as-built implementation diverges from the old ports design modes. Let me bring memory in line with reality. Thank you. Final run is green. Registry shows only that. Ran all nodes, 7 nodes passed. The build is complete and verifies end-to-end. Let me update my project memory to reflect that drop point is now built as connects.
Explore new ways to tune into your music with Spotify Premium. Smart Shuffle adds recommendations into your playlists to show you new sounds. Or you can make music a shared experience when you host a jam, where you and your friends can add songs and listen in together. Tap the banner to learn more.
Yes, I think I did say I wanted to call it Connects on-prem agent, but it didn't know how to spell it.
Take your playlists anywhere with offline downloads. Or
Anyway, Claude Connect.
and again.
I run the workflow that does deep parallel grounding across the affected subsystems, plus researches the phase 0 injection contract. Workflows running in the background, 4 grounding agents in parallel, 3 subsystem maps via Explore, 1 Claude Code injection contrast research via Claude Code Guide, then a synthesis agent that turns it all into a phased plan. I'll get notified when it finishes. You can watch live with workflows. Up and down, left and right. If I press enter on one, remove these. I can just press left and right. Okay, so planning, question answering. Ground the NUI question answering feature across Claude's Connect subsystem. Ground and plan. Not yet started. Research still running. One should be done. Three of them are done. Okay, let's see what happens with that. Okay, so this should be every type of message that Claude Code emits and whether we handle it. Summary, partially handled. System, file history snapshot. What is that? Ignored. Attachment, key operations. Some of these might not be needed. I don't know. You know, Claude Connect has really became a view-only version of what's happening in Claude and filtering the results to actually becoming an ADE, agentic development environment. Do I want it to do that? I think it's the next natural progression for it. Okay, matrix, content blocks, image, user pastes that, dropped. Tool references. That's another thing. I need to be able to drag a screenshot into this chat. Matrix, tools and category. Book success, low. Wait. These are the highest volume unhandled entries, grouped by whether they're worth surfacing. Worth surfacing, yes. Book areas and injected system context are currently invisible. The canonical to-do right task snapshot would fix the to-do right gap above. Save these findings into an MD file in the root folder to be addressed later. Okay, at least that's done. Or dialog dismissed. Okay. If I press up, it goes back there. Dynamic workflow, workflow finished. 365k tokens. Let me read the full results and save the plan. Did we bypass superpowers by using workflows? Okay, so this is still busy. Plan usage sitting at 35% at the moment, 36%. I asked it to rename that thing. See, this is where Claude Connect is great. I've got my full history here on the left. I can just click between the messages. Now I need to try and scroll up to find where I was. Under name on-prem, understood. Renaming it from Connects to Connects on-prem agent. I just finished the build plus memory updates. Now do a clean rename across code, config and memory, then re-verifying end to end. Let me find every occurrence first. What is happening? Signing key is missing on the build. How should it get there? The issue could be I'm using Wayland desktop environment. Was Wayland the one that I was having an issue with? I think Wayland was the issue. Wayland is the issue. Where did I paste that? Okay, so HyperVoice is doing a lot of research. Okay, HyperVoice is busy figuring out again how to connect to my Hyper-V Linux terminal to actually go and rebuild the application for Linux. I quit my sessions, we got everything that it figured out the first time, so now it has to figure it out again. This time, I'm going to save it to memory. Okay, connect.
They don't teach you this
Okay,
at school, but the
rename
podcast
that. What
will
changed in this rename?
will.
Okay, so this is working now.
America's leading podcast where people get real about
In
the
Linux
stuff
construction
that
environments
matters,
and local,
the messy
that's
parts,
nice.
the mindset shifts, and the moments that change everything.
Let's hope it works.
To your favorite public figures.
Okay.
We're all about growth, mindset,
I'm going to delete the Excel file.
engineer your life with
I'm going to run this.
search the podcast here on Spotify.
Detest outbox path, detest custom normalized XXX, run it.
Every week, I bring you great conversations,
Running.
sharp analysis with people
Should
who
have
shape
something at the
South
bottom
Africa's
saying
future.
compiling or
From
something.
politicians and legal titans to celebrities, we bring you all of it. If you care about our country, just
think
want to
it-
understand what's really happening.
For some of the runs, after it restarts, it does take a while to actually
Then tune in,
kick in and start doing things.
search for us here on Spotify, and join the fam.
I don't know if the agent is still running or not. I'm trying to run the flow myself. However, the run output says it's running, but I don't see any results. Does it take a while to run initially? I've got it running. I see the file, but why has it not said anything? XXX. I see the file has appeared in the folder, but it still says running, and I didn't see anything in the results table. Okay, yes. Here's what Claude says about the issue. The smoking gun is clear. Window blah blah blah. is a 1x1 invisible input only X Wayland focus proxy. It's what X11 returns when a Wayland native app has focus. The control V lands there and disappears into the void. Now build a fix. Claude Connect. How should we proceed given the phase 0 risk? Phase 0, the spike. 3 frame candidates, password criteria. I want you to develop this for an end product. I do not want temporary solutions or workarounds. I want the best possible solution implemented. Okay, so I did create the Excel file on my machine. Next, that confirms it. Your run completed successfully. The file is in D-test, and the database shows the latest run as success with all 7 nodes. So it's not slow and not stuck. The problem is live results aren't reaching the browser. The docs is running and the table stays empty because the runs event system, SSE, isn't delivering results to the UI. Why? Streaming route itself looks fine. Let me confirm the timing. Diagnostics confirmed. The entire run finished in 290 milliseconds. That is quick. Of node work, 2.2 seconds walk. The browser's event source, the fix, when the stream connects, replay the current run state. Okay. Back to HyperVoice regarding the pasting not working. Sorry, I am working off stream for HyperVoice just in case API keys and secrets get exposed. That's the only reason I'm running HyperVoice off stream. The build's child process isn't inheriting Tauri key password. Build hit a real snag and it's about the signing key password. On the pasting, Wayland confirmed, and here's the situation. You've now told me the user is on Wayland, which confirms the auto-paste diagnosis exactly. Here's the honest picture. Why it fails. HyperVoice's Linux auto-paste is X11 only by design. It restores Windows focus via X11 and injects Control-V by Inigo's Xtest path. And a Wayland synthetic input into other apps is blocked for security. Xtest only reaches X-Wayland clients, not the whole path. Now, this whole path is essentially a no-op. Okay, so it doesn't work on Wayland. Proper fix is a real feature, not a quick patch. We will get there. Proper fix. Add a Wayland input path, either the XDG remote desktop portal plus Libai, the sanctioned composer agnostic route. User grants permission once, or KD's fake input Wayland protocol. This is the right long-term answer for the growing share of Wayland default distros. Fedora is one of them. But it's a separate piece of work from this launch fix release. Okay, so it may be possible. But I'll move the password to the VM and validate the VM chat. The new user scope piping, password values in place, 24 bytes. Okay, so it's relaunching the build for Linux. It's been just getting up to speed again. What's happening with connects? Okay, file appeared, confirms completed successfully, diagnosis fix. There's restarting stuff. Now type check, doc shows successes. No longer stuck on running, the row count caught other tables on the page. Let me look at the screenshot to confirm that run doc itself populated correctly. Okay, good progress. Signing key is now accepted. Nearest car goes into the path and the non-interactive shell. I'll source cargo environment before building. Rust is compiling, PowerShell, blah, blah, blah. Those never used warnings are the Windows only constraints expected on Linux. I'll wait for it to finish, polling on the VM until the process exits. Great stuff. Okay, let's try. I'm going to delete the Excel file and we're going to try and run this. That was quick. $75 milliseconds. Explain the process that happens behind running this workflow. So when I click run, it runs through the node and then does it contact that on-prem agent? When does it contact the on-prem agent? How do I set particular nodes to make use of the on-prem agents? How do I default the entire workflow to use a specific on-prem agent? Explain how it works. So yeah, workflow here is not that kind of workflow. Maybe that's a bit of an issue. Yeah, it always transcribes perfectly, but no paste occurs. Pasting into co-write learning. Okay.
Bring the beats with Premium. Download and bring your music anywhere so you can dance to high-quality music without hearing ads. Mix up your playlists with song recommendations from Smart Shuffle.
Okay, so I want to know how it works. So we've got an on-prem agent. This folder is iterating through a folder that the on-prem agent has access to. This then passes the path. So this is using the on-prem agent. File read, the content comes through from this node here. File read doesn't need it, transform doesn't need it, Excel doesn't need it because it created a memory. And then as file write, writes it back to or through the on-prem agent. This was quick. Then download that CSV. Content. Those are rows that have come through. 8 rows. Looks good in light mode as well. It was rather bright. Let's delete that file, Excel file. Okay, great question. Let me walk through exactly what happens end to end and where the on-prem agent fits in. Note I'm not spinning up a multi-agent workflow tool here. You ask about the Connect workflow engine. So this plain explanation grounded in the code we built. Browser run button, post that. Run root, create run, just browser opens event source, ingest dev server, invokes that. For each node in topological order, resolves inputs from data exits, decides where to run the agent decision seen below. Execute. Click run, the browser. It leads the workflow, runs it one by one. When does it connect to the on-prem agent? Per node. At the moment the node executes, that node executes, not up front, and not for every node. The decision happens in execute node. So a node is sent to the agent only if both are true. It resolved the drop point in the node or the workflow default, see below. It's kind agent eligible. Okay, there are going to be certain nodes that need to be run off a drop point. Can you confirm some examples of those? And also confirm whether that's true or false. I wanted to understand that things like reading a file, writing a file, iterating through folders needs to be run on a drop point and cannot be run in the cloud because we're there to pick up files. So I'm expecting it to come back, yeah, these types do need to be run on a drop point. These ones don't need to be run on a drop point. There, so your X11 gives me bigs. I don't like the environment at all. Multiple graphics bugs. Go to Wayland, works for me. Okay. It's going to be certain nodes. Short answer true, but with one important refinement. Whether a node needs a drop point is really about where the resource it touches lives, not the node type alone. Yeah. Okay, the same kind can run in the cloud, public target, or must run on a direct drop point. Inherently local, file, folder, command. Conditionally need a drop point depending on the target's location. SQL Server, yeah. Never needs a drop point. Okay, so this is perfect. SAS connectors, they need that. Important current implementation reality. So to confirm precisely, certain nodes need a drop point. If you tell me which of the category 2 connectors you'd like actually need on-prem, I want to give them all the option, or the ones that would require a drop point, the option to run on a drop point. That means that within the nodes themselves, inside of the flow, we need to either allow the entire workflow to run on a specific agent, on-prem agent, or select specific nodes to be able to run on a particular agent. So, for example, I can default the entire workload to run on my computer, but I can request a specific folder to run on another computer. Does that make sense? Yeah, this whole workflow thing is, I'm not too sure. I mean, it does come up as highlighted, but I'm not actually doing anything with workflows there. If our build succeeded or signatures generated artifacts are. Okay, so it's still busy publishing this. It's taking a while. Quite a few issues in getting connected to the VM again. That makes complete sense. It's the right model. Before I build it, this is a feature with a few genuine design forks. Let me approach it properly with brainstorming skill to lock down the design with you first. Superpowers brainstorming. Okay. Where are we with Claude Connect architecture? I verified the architecture end-to-end with real test runs. Here's what we landed on, evidence. Raw CLI is the VM, agent SDK, plus custom in-process MCP tool. For the phase 0 gate, the cache. This means driving sessions through agent SDK process. So I think this is going to have an issue later on. Node sidecar instead of the raw Claude CLI you built in progress is the best solution supported. Robust, not a workaround, but it replaces your core live sessions engines. A substantial change, not a small feature. Do not want to go to agent SDK. I believe that Agent SDK will actually come with processing limits. It's been implemented recently. Can you confirm that running something in Agent SDK is different to running it natively inside of Claude Code? Or, yes, STD in the raw CLI. The next, which node should get run on drop point in this build? File folder command, all on-prem capable nodes, build handlers too. All on-prem capable. Sitting at 45% used, 43 minutes until I run out of usage. Perhaps I do need to go to bed quickly, soon.
Well, think no further, because at sibling rivalry, on your way to his bar.
Yeah, so you are busy building. Model you described as clear and right, a workflow level default agent overridable per node. I send one folder node to another computer. The open question is, how many node types get the control in this first build? Some require new execution code on the agent. Then do it. Got it, the full set with real agent execution. This is a big scope. Right now, these connectors are mock implementations, even on the server. They return canned data. Okay, that's fine. How real should the agent-side execution of those connectors be in this build? Routing now, real handlers for all. Now. Let's get it done. Your Opus 4.8. Act like it. Given the SDK uses the same engine or limits, which route should I design around? Investigate route B, pure Rust. Go to route A, node sidecar and agent SDK. So we did ask, where is it? Wait, okay, that's somewhere there. No, the agent SDK is not a different runtime with its own limits. The SDK doesn't run the model itself. It spawns the exact same Claude binary you already use. The proof is in proof from this machine. SDK package exposes that. During my test, the environment showed that no Anthropic key was sent to my test. Rate limiter admitted for running through the SDK. What this means for the decision and a better option, because the SDK is just a Claude binary plus a control protocol over std.io, and Claude Connect already spawns Claude, the capability we need, custom ask user tool and can use, doesn't strictly require bolting a node runtime into your Tauri app. 2 routes, both the same engine or limits. Route A, node sidecar running the agent SDK, proven working today, my test, fastest to build. Cost is bundling node in with the app. Pure Rest, the Claude binary supports external MCP servers and the same control protocol. How are we doing it at the moment? Are we currently using a node sidecar, or are we currently using the agent SDK, or are we currently using the raw CLI? Okay, done. The fixed Linux build is published and live. Here's the full chain of what happened. I want you to save the requirements of publishing in the VM to memory, as well as any of the details you need. So next time that we publish to Linux, you know exactly what to do. The fix is verified to be in the binary, but not verified to work on Kubuntu. Save to memory for VM. Okay, so you've already done that then. Okay, so Linux, bit of an update. It pastes into Firefox, but it does not paste into KWrite, Linux Notepad app. It doesn't paste into there. Terminal also. That also pastes into terminal, and if it pastes into terminal, it works with Claude Code. So that means that it would actually work with Claude Code running in the terminal. Or any AI in the terminal. Oh, cool. Okay, save to memory. Now, back to this paste issue. The user has swapped to using X11, and they tried to paste in KWrite, and they also tried to paste into Linux Notepad app, and it didn't work. However, it has auto-pasted into Firefox, and it has auto-pasted into terminal. Perfect. Terminal in VS Codium works. Did you get it? Did you do anything to get it working in any of those apps, or was it working without you doing anything? Okay, next. I think this is actually going to be quite a big decision here. No, the agent SDK is not different runtime with its own limits. Where are my messages? I guess there are answers. What Claude Connect does today, your Rust backend spawns a Claude binary directly. No node, no SDK, with session ID, print, input format, blah, 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 post, and write stream JSON. Why that matters. Can we not make it work with how we're currently doing it? I don't want to change the mechanism for that. Is that possible? Good question. I'll investigate and let you know. So essentially, I asked the guy, did you do anything to get it working in any of those apps, or was it working without you doing anything? Good question. I'll investigate and let you know. Connects. Okay, questions. This real multi-week, multi-part build. I'll structure the spec in phases. Greeting first and driver spec connector. How should on-prem connectors get their credentials? DB passwords. Server holds them, sends them to agent per core. Yep. This is a different failure to the Wayland one. On X11, it's now app-specific, which is a strong clue. Let me approach it with a debugging skill rather than guessing a fix. Fantastic. Superpowers, systematic debugging. Successfully loaded skill. Build connect. I do need to log off at 11 tonight. Good, let me answer this precisely because the distinction matters. The mechanism equals your Rust backend spinning the raw Claude CLI and talking stream JSON over standard in, standard out. Thanks, Dave. Let me be honest about what it is and isn't possible within that. Literally what the code does today, send two results frames. No, proven, the CLI dismisses it. But keeping the same mechanism, same spawn, having question. Promising tactic, don't use built-in ask user questions tool, disallow it. CLI flag. Steer the model by in system prompt. Also just a flag to ask multiple choice questions as a perishable luck. Let me prove it works against your installed Claude before claiming it. Okay. The model ignored format instruction. The user did do something, I think, to get the paste working. It may or may not have worked. You need to do some investigation as to have a look at the viability of what he did. That's the ultra think queue is noted. And this is exactly the sign of bug. We're guessing waste time. How do I get this? How do I invite someone to the server? I guess I'll just start up.
Want to spice up your listening? Smart Shuffle can weave in song
HyperVoice.
recommendations for your playlists when you join Spotify Premium.
Dashboard.
Or start a jam where you can invite your friends to create
Copy
and
link.
add to shared playlists, all with unlimited skips and repeats. Tap the banner to learn more. Can't get enough of your song of the moment? Download and indulge in the tracks you love over and over again with Spotify Premium. Tune in to discover an ad-free music listening experience where you can play your favorites in any order. Tap the banner to learn more.
Cool. Thank you very much, everyone. I actually need to log off. Have a good evening. Have a great weekend when it gets there, and enjoy.